I am back at my house, internet up and running, and we've got another NBA injury report to hit on, sponsored by FanUp. If you guys have not signed up for FanUp, you can do using the promo code Awesemo, get yourself $25 for free, as well as $20 site credit. That's all you have to do, sign up using the promo code Awesemo. No other information required from you. As we're talking about the injury report, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. If you have any questions over the course of the day, leave them in the comment section below. So not a really extensive injury report for us to hit on today, Adam, but definitely some spots that could open up some value, starting with the Nets. And whenever we have to try to find value from the Nets, it can become a little bit of a headache with the Steve Nash and the Nets rotations. But LaMarcus Aldridge is out for at least the next couple of games. As far as tonight goes, is there any value in the front court with Aldridge not in there?
Potentially, you could certainly see more playing time for Andre Drummond at 5,800 in a good matchup. The issue is that the Nets could also just elect to basically, give Claxton most of Aldridge's minutes, and then they can also certainly play smaller. Kevin Durant at the 5 is not an issue for this team, so it's not a guarantee, but you could see a couple of extra minutes for Andre Drummond, I think.
And the next one, I think this one should be a little bit more significant. Jalen Suggs is questionable to play. He sat last game, and a little unclear if he's going to be back in the mix for tonight. If he's out, what do you see that looks good from Orlando? Because it is a team that has Markelle Fultz back, so there are more options in the backcourt than there was, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it makes anybody look great, but it is a bump for Cole Anthony. Usage rate and assist percentage goes up without Suggs on the floor. You could see RJ Hampton get the start. He's inexpensive and would likely play enough minutes to be a decent value option. But I don't necessarily think that any one guy becomes a great play.
Yeah, difficult matchup for him as well in Phoenix. I think given how good of a points per minute fantasy producer Markelle Fultz is, there's going to be a point where we could potentially want to roster if the minutes restriction goes up, but at least as of now, not enough minutes for me to consider it. Next, let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Isaiah Roby was a late scratch in their last game, and then, of course, there's still a million other players out for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kenrich Williams, Mike Muscala, Lou Dort, Ty Jerome, Josh Giddey, Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, and Derek Favors. But a lot of that's already been accounted for in the pricing. So for me, what I really want to focus on is what happens in the Oklahoma City front court if Roby is out, because when you also consider that Favors is out, it becomes pretty thin up front.
Yeah, it does. They did get Wiggins back last game. He ended up starting. But Olivier Sarr could certainly play enough minutes to be a decent option if Roby is out. He played 20 and a half minutes off the bench last game. He's only $3,400. He hasn't been a great fantasy producer this year, but at 3,400, if he gets 22 to 24 minutes, that could be a decent option. But mostly I think that pricing accounts for these guys being out because, like you were saying, outside of Roby, everyone else has been out for a while. So, you can certainly still look to guys like Pogoshevsky, Darius Baisley would potentially get a rebounding bump if Roby is out, but their price tags also are more or less where they should be.
And now the final spot to talk about on the slate, this is the one that I think is going to have the most potential value. Brandon Ingram is questionable. He was downgraded, about 30 minutes ago or so. If Brandon Ingram doesn't play, where do you see the usage being allocated in New Orleans?
I think you just see a lot of CJ McCollum. I mean, it would be a bump for Valanciunas as well. When you think about the starters here, Jackson Hayes isn't a high usage guy. Herbert Jones isn't a high usage guy. So it should be McCollum and Valanciunas that benefit. But McCollum in particular, I think, he already has the ball in his hands a lot. If you take out Ingram, McCollum's gonna have the ball in his hands even more. Since McCollum came over, both him and Ingram have usage rates between like 27 and 29%. They both have assist percentages between like 25 and 28%. So I think you just see McCollum take on a bigger role in pretty much all aspects.
And then is there any cheaper value play you would see potentially moving into the starting lineup and becoming somebody that would be a really good points per dollar play?
Possibly. It kind of depends who it is. For example, if they started Tony Snell, he's not someone you're going to really care about. If Devontae Graham moved back into the starting lineup at 3,700, then he would look pretty decent. His rates have been low since McCollum came over, and I think that's to be expected. But if you get more playing time for him, if he starts, that would suggest he's going to play more. Then 3,700 looks pretty decent. Similarly, if a $3,400 Najee Marshall were to start, he's not a bad point per minute guy. So it really just depends on who replaces Ingram in the starting lineup.
That is going to do it for us today, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, sign up for FanUp using that promo code Awesemo. If you have any questions at all, leave it in the comment section below.